All right, Infernal Blessings. This mic hooked up real quick. Do some quick edit chops, and then we're going to get going. Can you hear now? 1, 2, 1, 2. Somebody confirm that you can hear the sound now. There's an issue with the mic. Can somebody confirm the sound? All right, thank you. Appreciate it, the Wizard Dan. Thank you. All right, let me start over again. If you are interested in booking a 2024 yearly forecast reading, those are happening now until about the first week in February. Just when you send me an email, please put in the link so it stands out. If you're interested in booking any type of reading, I offer Klepothic demonic reading, Santa Muerte reading, Egyptian oracle reading, deity reading, shadow work readings. Just shoot me an email. I'll send you information on how to do that. Also, if you want to sign up for classes, the best way to sign up for the classes, the only way, go to the official Primordial Chaos Patreon page at patreon.com/Baniti, Baniti, tier 3. That's the tier you want to join. Tier 3 gives you access to all of the 3 classes I do every month privately for Patreon members only. And it also gives you access to the group ritual we do together every month. And again, when you join, it doesn't just give you access to the classes the day you join moving forward. It gives you access to all of the classes in the archive going over 3 years back. Also the group rituals, which there's now 39 and counting. The classes also include ritual work, other type of research, more personalized work. We go in depth on the Patreon, and we talk about things obviously I wouldn't really talk about openly here. So again, patreon.com/Baniti, Baniti, tier 3. That's the tier you want to join. That'll give you access to the classes. All right. Also, check out the Primordial Chaos podcast. It's on Spotify and all major podcast platforms. The direct link to the podcast, my contact email address, the link for the Patreon page to sign up for classes, all of that is in the description box of this video you're watching. It's also going on the ticker, the banner you see going across the bottom of the screen, in case you forget. So all that information is there. Also check us out on Primordial Chaos 9 on Instagram, which we are live now, also on Instagram, and also Primordial Chaos on Facebook, 2 words. We're streaming live on all 3 of those platforms right now. Don't forget to hit the like buttons. The like buttons get the likes up, get the algorithm of the video out there. And this way more people have access to the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell and check all notifications so you know when we go live. Let me send a link to our guests, and let me get our guest in here. Well, hang tight. I'm gonna send the email. Hold on 1 second. All right. All right. I just sent the link. Let me just let her know. All right. So our guest should be arriving shortly. So we have a special guest tonight. I'll bring her in shortly. As soon as she arrives, we'll add her to the stream. You see the title. We're going to go talk probably about a topic in areas that we never really talked. Hang tight 1 sec. Jana. All right. Let's get things set up. So while we have a minute, while we're waiting, for those on Patreon, we will have an end of the year class coming up in a couple of weeks. I'm going to post that later today or tomorrow. That'll be our kind of end of the year recap. I'm going to go over with you guys stuff we can expect for 2024 and some other things. All tiers will be invited to that class if you're on Patreon. Regardless of what tier you're on, all of you guys will get an invite to that class. I will look at the calendar as soon as I get some time, either later tonight or tomorrow. I'll pick a date and try to do it on the weekend. More than likely a Friday night or a Saturday afternoon. I'll just look at the schedule, and I'll try to put it out there early in case those need to make schedule adjustments to their schedule, and then we will go from there. Let me just double check, make sure that went through. I know it did, but I just want to make sure. Yeah, it did. All right, let me just confirm. Oh boy. Just double check something real quick. Make sure the other. Okay, yep. All right, as you go through, just waiting. Hold on. Okay. All right, I guess you'll be here shortly. But yeah, a lot going on this time of year. As you know, what we've all been preparing for on the channels. We enter this time of the season. A lot going on in the secular world and a lot going on in our spiritual paths. We did a great ritual last night, the seven-headed dragon ritual of Leviathan. For those that were on Patreon, some of you guys were there. Pretty intense ritual. And again, this time of the year, as I've been saying now since pretty much mid to the end of October, this is really a time for you to get your shit together, for the most polite words. This is that time of the year where the focus is on recapping, as I said, what you accomplished and what you failed at in 2023, and then setting your goals for 2024. You always have to have goals when you're working this path, right? And goals, I'm not just talking about financial goals, right? That's part of it, because sometimes people hear that word goals and they think, well, I'm talking just about finances. That's one of them, 100%, right? Financial goals are important. Living in this world and society, you must have money to be able to do things. So most definitely that's included, but more so I'm talking about spiritual goals, right? Goals that reflect you mastering yourself, changing your condition, changing things about yourself that you know you need to improve. And again, it's about change and results. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. I don't care what you read, how much you think you know. That's cool and everything. But if you're reading, as I've said a million times before, all this knowledge and information, you can't apply it and it's not reflecting in your life on a daily basis, then the question is, what are you doing? Okay. Who gives a shit? Right. Doesn't matter how many books you have or how many books you read. It's how much of that knowledge that you are so-called claiming to absorb. How are you applying that on an everyday, regular basis? All right. And how is that changing your life? That's the question. All right. So that's the key thing. That's the key component. Okay. Success on this path is measured by results. Okay. Point blank. Success on this path is measured by results. So just because you've accumulated a large occult library, just because you can impress people with your tongue and in conversations, shit is pointless. And for a lot of us that have been around for a while and we're about the work, we don't just talk about it, we're about it. It doesn't impress us. I don't care. I've been dealing with this for years. How many emails I get through the course of a year of some braggadocious person just sending me an email thinking they're impressing me, using all this technical, just delete. I ain't got time for that shit. I'm looking for people that's doing work and getting results, transforming and changing their life on every level, their personal life, their family life, their career, their business, their job, their spiritual path, fixing shit about themselves that they know is fucked up. All right. That's why we do shadow work on this path. All right. Shadow work is to bring about all the good and the bad, not just the bad. I know sometimes people get caught up in that aspect of shadow work. They think it's just about, oh, pulling up all this fucked up shit about yourself. Yes, that's part of it, 100%. But I don't also want to paint the picture that that's all it is. Sometimes you also uncover some hidden strengths you have. And sometimes it sharpens the skills of the existing strengths you do have, right? And that's that old adage, know thyself and thou shalt know the gods. A very famous alchemical hermetic philosophy saying. So this is what I don't understand. People want to work with gods and goddesses, spirits, demons, this, that, and the other. But that can't be done successfully until you get to know yourself. How do you get to know yourself? Through shadow work and by awakening the personal demon within. That's simple. Okay. And when you activate that higher self, aka the personal daemon, also known in Hermetic or ancient Egyptian Heka as the Agatho daemon, which is basically the same thing, you're going to get terminologies. You might also know it in Thelema teachings as the holy guardian angel. Even in Catholicism and Christianity, they even have something they refer to as the guardian angel, as they teach, right? It's all basically in line with the same concept. All right, let's double check, I guess, see what's going on. Make sure she got the message. Hold on. No, she did. All right, just resend it again. Just make sure. So yeah, I'll just keep talking for a few minutes till our guest arrives. So that's the important thing, right? Awakening the personal daemon within. You can't establish that relationship with the gods, the goddesses, and the spirits, whatever term you want to use, if you're not doing that type of work. That's just the way it is. You know, contrary people, yeah, you can have your own opinion, you can have your own perspective, but I can promise you, if you want to do it right and you want to be successful at doing it, that's the route you're going to have to take. Because bottom line, you can just ignore, the real self, the shadow self, whatever you want to refer to it as. At some point in your journey, it's going to come to the surface. And at some point, you're going to have to deal with it. Okay. So you could either do that willingly, which is the smarter way. Not that it's just completely easy, but it's smarter because you can prepare. Or you get people that hide in these fluffy systems of light, and love, and they think they're going to pray and meditate their bullshit away. And all that's doing is briefly masking it for a brief period of time. There will be a point in your journey where all your bullshit will come to the surface. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. Don't matter what you call yourself. It don't matter what path you identify with. Doesn't matter what title you give yourself. Okay. And it's worse when you're being deceived by those deceptive paths of spirituality that are just promoting this light and love shit all the time, as if, this is just a walk in the park, and it's not. Okay. That's just not real life. That's just not reality. Okay. And you're fooling yourself and you're deceiving yourself if you think that that's the case. Okay. So when you make the intent, as I've said many times before, you come on this path. Know this. If you understand, let me back up and rephrase this. This is important. If you understand what you're doing when you make the intention, you voluntarily, according to your free will, you come on this path and you're willing to embrace what this path embodies. Always keep in mind, whether you're conscious of it or not, you're basically coming before the spirits and you're saying, here I am, take me apart, deconstruct me so I can put myself back together. You may not realize that in the moment, I'm saying, but you will see over time as you start connecting with these energies, entities, demons, spirits, whatever you want to call them. I'm just using titles people are familiar with. Really, you can't give this shit titles, but I'm just using the titles that are out there that people are very familiar with and that they can connect with, right? So what tends to happen is, and I've said this before, when you don't do the groundwork, right? And that's why I did that video not too long ago, and I've talked about this on and off over the years here and there. That's why when you're not doing that groundwork, in my opinion, excuse me, which is shadow work, which is demonic integration work or working with your personal daemon, your higher and true self, and ancestral veneration, right? That lays the groundwork, right? When you're linked in on that level, you will find everything starts to blossom from that point moving forward. But what I tend to see happen, and this is where people get themselves messed up, what I tend to see happen is people come on the path and they just start jumping into crazy shit, either because they're fascinated by it, or it might be something they like, or sometimes they've been misguided, right? Or sometimes it's just a lack of knowledge. Maybe it's, it's just a lack of being naive sometimes, right? And they'll come on the path and they'll start working, say, with the clip path and dark works of magic or necromancy or this, that, and the other, and shit just goes haywire. All right, we have our guest here. I'm gonna stop babbling. Let me bring our guest in. All right, Crow Priestess, can you hear me? Crow Priestess, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, how you doing? You are live. You are in the room. We got you. I just want to make sure the sound was good. How are you doing?
It sounds good. I can hear you.
Okay. Well, first and foremost, we want to welcome you to the show. I know this is your first time on the show, so I want to thank you for coming by on the show. First and foremost. So if you could, for those that may not know who you are, since this is your first time here, just briefly introduce yourself and let the people know who you are and what it is that you do, and then we'll go from there. We'll start with that.
Okay. I go by Crow Priestess 911. I am a master Reiki practitioner. I started my practice in 20. I started studying Reiki, which is a healing modality. It's a Japanese healing modality, but as I integrated my um, spiritual holistic in it as well, I interpret the Reiki as well as me being a Dibia. I just study that too as me. My ancestors come from Igbo. Um, so I have Igbo, and a Dibia is a healer. It's called
Okay.
an. So I've been studying for since 2019. Um, and I studied Reiki. I was guided by my higher self to learn about Reiki. I've always actually been a healer, just not me even knowing, but just myself.
Right.
And I just cultivated my learning about Reiki, and added my spiritual aspect in it as well. So I'm still learning. I'm still healing myself. It's still a process. It's still personal growth for me as well. I am very satisfied and glad to obtain this information going within.
Right.
It took a lot. Um,
Sure.
it's been a journey. It really has.
Well, okay. And so before I go into some of the stuff I want to discuss, let people know how they can contact you, give them your email or social media platforms, and also your website. So what's the best method? And I'll make sure we do this again throughout the show for people that come in after. So how can people reach out to you and connect with you?
Yes, you can contact me on my website, divinehealing911.com. Again, it's divinehealing911.com. I choose 911, look up those numerology, those numbers. It's very
Right.
specific to me, as well as Crow Priestess 911 on Instagram. You can contact me there as well. And I look forward to working with those that are interested to ascending.
Okay, cool. So one thing I noticed that caught my attention uh, with your page, like you incorporate obviously the spiritual healing. There's occult elements there, as you said. There's the ancestral element, and which I think is great, because I think all of this is connected to what we do. And in my opinion, I've always said, I think everybody has something to offer. Everybody has gifts and something to offer. But what I want to do, let's first and foremost, I don't want to think we're not. I mean, Reiki is one of the key things you do, but we're going to talk about things a little bit beyond that. But first and foremost, let's go in a little bit in depth. Can you explain first and foremost what exactly it is? I know a lot. It's been around for a bit. It's an ancient practice, but I find different interpretations of it, and I find sometimes people's interpretations can be a little bit off. So can you just go a little bit in depth and describe what is the process of Reiki spiritual practice and how it works? And then two, how do you utilize it, or what methods do you use in your practice?
Okay. How I conduct my practice, Reiki is a healing modality. You're tapping into the universal life forces. So that I'm not using my energy. It's the life forces. So when I'm tapping
Okay.
in my practice, I'm tapping into my ancestors that are healers, as my celestial beings, as well as um, some of the deities that I work with that I'm tapping into.
Hmm.
That energy within that I applied into the chakras,
Okay.
which Reiki amplifies the chakras. So um, the energy within is universal life forces that flows within those chakras and is working with my hands.
Okay.
So yes, and how my practice, me cultivating my practice, what I start with when I work with my clients, I always start with the root chakra. Um,
Okay. I'm glad to
I
hear that.
actually I started off teaching at Heal One World, and I'm not advertising Heal One World, but I did used to teach there starting off cultivating my practice and
Right.
to individuals. And I had actually a person that attended the class of mine of Reiki when I was doing Reiki, and she mentioned to me, "Oh, excuse me, I don't start with my root. I start with my crown chakra." So she
Mm,
mentioned to me, "Why do you start with the crown chakra and not your root?" Well, I'm guided and led to where I start. And when I
right.
work with, I go to feel with my clients. I like
Hmm.
to have one-on-one consultations, which I have 10-minute consultations with my clients, and I
Right.
pick up that energy off my clients. So
Okay.
wherever I'm led and guided to, that's where I work with the individual when it comes to the body. We have our lower chakras and our higher chakras.
Hmm.
So yeah, that
Okay.
I
So,
practice off of my intuition.
okay. So, and it's interesting you say that, because pretty much on the occult left hand path, or the path of self mastery, that's kind of how we're guided, right? We lay out our own personal path of power, and you can't, right? Because not everybody's
Yes.
path is going to be the same. So I'm glad to hear that. So what got you? How did you come across Reiki? Like what was the spark, or what made you want to explore it further and get into it? What was the motivating factor that you started to explore it deeper?
The motivating factor, I mean, this, okay. I'm laughing because, like, honestly, I really started off, I used to be a behavioral therapist
Okay.
for years. So I did
Okay.
ABA, and I worked in school districts. I in Long Beach school districts,
Hmm.
as well as I worked with adults. So I worked with schizophrenia patients,
Oh wow.
autism,
Okay.
bipolar. So I could say that led me into it too, knowing and just how my clients gravitated to me too.
Okay.
Um, I used to get like a lot. I'm gonna put some hate in my field.
That's all right. That's
I
all right.
I with me, people just were so amazed how they gravitated to me because I didn't treat them as a toy or
Hmm.
I treat them as human beings.
Right.
So I was watching the show. It doesn't come on anymore. It's called Dead Files.
I
And
remember that show.
I yeah, this on there and on there.
I think you
I
froze
one
up.
day I was just sitting on
Back.
and I was like, huh, I was like, you know, I would like to study that. And, sure enough, I don't know, just everything just happened within timing for me. Honestly, my path, like where I've been led to and just guided, I could say that I will mention this that the Raven came into my life. And
Hmm.
I was walking out my door of my apartment
Hmm.
one day and there's never no ravens. There's is no birds or nothing. It was literally walking towards me. And I just felt like instantly like I must have tapped in. Like
It was
I
a
think it was
message.
just that yeah,
Hmm.
for my age and just for my DNA just became awakened to what I really needed to go ahead and serve my purpose and learn.
Right. Awesome. All right. So let me ask you this. I always got to ask new guests this for the first time. Let's back up a little bit. So tell us about your up spiritually. I'm talking about. What were you raised as? If were you raised in a certain spiritual system or religion? Because I always like people to see, because we all come from different walks, different backgrounds. We've all had different upbringings, experiences. I always want listeners to see how people got to where they're at now. So tell us a little bit about your upbringing. Were you influenced by Christianity, Judaism, Islam, or any other path? Kind of paint the picture briefly for us of where you came and how you got here, is what I'm saying.
Okay. Um hmm. I, my mother was raised as a Catholic
Okay.
and went to Christianity. To be honest, I was that child that did not want to get up and go. She was amplifying that in some sense. I was in high school and I didn't want to get up and go to church, but it wasn't just the word, it had to stimulate me. I'm a like it has to stimulate me, be very say I do my research as well. And I kind of I went to church with my mother and it
Hmm.
was sometimes she forced upon me, would have to get up, but I
Right.
always stick to my own tune and what I did, you know. So it wasn't like oh such a I don't know, it wasn't brought to me where I had to be into a specific religion, but yeah, my mother was grown up as Catholic and then she went to a Christian church and I attend church and so forth, but for me I've always wanted to dig deep into this more of the knowledge that no one like tapped into at that sense
Hmm.
of time with myself. So I've just always been curious into like just the knowledge, the hidden knowledge, into history. That's why I also added anthropology, master Reiki practitioner, um,
Hmm.
into my practice. I like to study
Right.
behaviors. I like to study the signs and behaviors of people and where they come from. And I definitely look forward to traveling the world to understand the dynamics and history of those
Hmm.
and just where they come from. So
Right.
yeah, that's my story.
Okay. And I'm glad you said, because the reason why I was saying, like in the beginning, sometimes, and you'll run across people with this over the years. I think sometimes people get misled because sometimes Reiki practice gets stereotyped as like some new age thing. And that kind of bothers me because though there are some new age practitioners, it is part in some of those circles. But I remember, I mean, more so, I'm going back to maybe the early to mid 90s. I know it's advanced, and some of those perspectives have changed. But again, listening to like what you just described, how you incorporate all those aspects, that's what I want people to see, how Reiki can be used. Now, I see a lot of what you just described as, shadow work healing. So I bring that up. Do you incorporate any of that type of work when you deal with people? Because obviously, I'm sure Reiki, when we talk about the emotional and the spiritual healing, how does that factor in? Like, say you got clients that come to you for an example, you're doing Reiki work and they're dealing with a lot of psychological trauma or maybe stuff that they've picked up from along the way. Talk a little bit about that. How does that work when you're doing this?
I've worked with so many people in so many walks of life. Like, I'm very blessed to meet those and that feel comfortable to let me work with their energetic field.
Mm.
And I worked with cancer patients. I
Oh,
have
wow.
worked with, yeah, psychological, like you said. That's why I have to make sure I clothe myself every time to make
Hmm.
sure I protect myself and those
Sure.
to work with, because I do pick up on their energy, and sometimes it can be a little draining for me. But people have opened up to me about their life and their past, and there's certain things that they don't share with me, of course,
Sure.
before we start the Reiki session. And I'll just talk and get to know about them. And one question I do ask is, what is it that led you to want to receive a Reiki? What is
Mm.
it?
Mm.
So when I ask that question, that's when I can pick up and know and gravitate, because I'm very selective in who I choose and what I want to give my energy towards to.
Sure.
So when I do that, I pick up and I gravitate to people. It's I worked with all different ages as well too. Worked with children. Um, I remember attending an event at the beach, and worked with a child, and she was just so, her spirit was just so old, and she came
Oh,
to me
wow.
and was, you know, she told me my aunt she was about 8 years old. I'm like, what does she know? So, I said, well, go ask your mother if you can get a second from me and so forth. And she went to go ask her mom, and I laid her down on my table, and it's just um it was a good feeling coming from her. Like, so I just gravitate to those. Psychologically, I have worked with those that when I'm done after the session, I'll ask if I can give them my feedback, because, and I had to learn that, because some people that I worked with, they actually got offended.
Mm.
Like, well, shit, I'm letting you know, but I have to learn within my practice. Let me ask if I can give them feedback
Sure.
on what I and what I felt. So I could say one of my clients, he was a teacher. We connected. He worked with autistic children.
Hmm.
It's this park that I work outdoors in Los Angeles, as well as I come into your home environment. I do distance Reiki sessions as well.
Hmm.
But there was a park that we met up at, and me and this gentleman, he gravitated to me. He was an autistic, he worked with autistic students as a teacher. He retired. Um, Me, and I was led to that park with another client, and it's in Glendale. It's called Shane's Park. It's a lot of like it's a lot of history in that part. I actually had a client that's a medium, and she tapped in more into her gifts, where there was lost, well, I wouldn't say lost souls, but she picked up on the dead, people that were missing in there.
Wow.
It's a lot of history. Yeah, like when we were in a session, she was like, when she came out of it, she was like, oh, I picked up on this many people that were lost. And she was very gifted. So I'm very blessed that I was able to be present as well. And so the gentleman that I was working with, he was a teacher, and he was an autistic teacher. And that part, he educated me. He told me, he said, oh, he was like, Shane Inspiration. He said that park is actually named after, it was parents, two parents that had an autistic child. And because I guess back then, to integrate your child, quote unquote, with, being normal with the other child, to play with each other, they made that park to integrate, autistic children, as well as children that, just for them to come together. I don't want to say the normal, but just the gift that the autistic children have that is very heightened.
Right.
There's history in that park, and why they named it Shane's Inspiration. And the little boy Shane was autistic. He told me that. I'm like, wow, like, I'm like, okay, like, so there was a connection there with me and him. And he shared with me, psychologically, this is after the session, he felt very comfortable with me. And after he was comfortable to share with me that he lost his mother, and he had to save his mother out of a fire.
Right.
She used to smoke cigarettes, and he took care of his mother. And she must have left the cigarette burning, and all of a sudden the room caught on fire, and he had to
Oh,
drag his
wow.
mother out of flames to remove her from there. So, I mean, that's, to me, that's pretty like devastating to go through that. And
Right.
he said that he smelled her perfume too during the session. There's a specific perfume that she smelled. So during my sessions, and I actually cultivate that, or I want that, I invoke that some of the ancestors come in that are with that client to help them heal, and
Right.
to come in. So yeah, that,
Wow.
I just, it was like awe to me.
Right. So let me ask you a
It's
question,
phenomenal.
because there's always this discussion of mental illness, right? Um, when you do spiritual practices, whether it's ritual work, whether it's work like this, when you detect somebody has a mental illness, what's your approach? Because I've always said for years, I tell everybody, here on the channel, you got to be careful when you're doing certain type of work like this. If you got, let's just say, mental instability. So what is your approach? Like if you deal with a client and being in that, field, even before that type of work, um, what is your approach? Like, because I know you said you got to be selective who you work with, but what if you've identified, like you clearly know this person's got mental illness? So what's the approach on that?
Yeah, I'm not judgmental whatsoever.
Hmm.
Um, I will say this, that I gravitated to you, Beniti. Like, I like it 100. I like it authentic. I like it pure. I'm an old soul myself.
Right.
I, to me, the mental with it, and people, I feel I am here, and I'm guided to lead those.
Hmm.
It can be kind of a little bit intrusive
Yeah.
downtime giving sessions, because
Hmm.
I have to deal with personally certain things. And then, my grandmother transition as well to the spirit realm. So I'm
Okay.
just, it just, mentally just dealing. I can pick up on some of those, and but for me, I think the type of person I am, I hold that weight. I can endure it. It's not a
Okay.
problem.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Because that's an important thing, because I know there's differences of opinion on that, especially when people are doing spiritual work. Now, there was something you mentioned, because I've heard this before, and I don't really too much know how this works. There's other Reiki practitioners that talk about distance Reiki heal. I mean, I got an idea how it works, but can you share with the listeners, like, how does that work? If you, I mean, I know I'm not saying, I'm sure it's probably different in different cases and scenarios, but how does that's something I didn't even know existed till a few years back. So how does a distance session work? Like, if somebody, you're where you're located, say there's somebody on the other side of the country or outside of the country, how does that work?
Okay, so for me, this is how I conduct my practice. I do not personally, I don't mind Reikis. I actually prefer to work in person with the individual,
Okay.
but how I conduct my practice is that I do my consult as well, and I tap into that person. You know, energy is a frequency. That's just like us exchanging energy right now. So I what I do is, excuse me, I'm turning my head because I'm looking about to see if I had, give me a minute. Let me
No
get,
worries.
how I conduct my practices is this is what I use.
Okay. Okay.
So this is it's a picture, it's a skeleton. What I do is I energy and I lay my hands on certain parts
Okay.
with this framework of the skeleton here.
Okay.
I I just pick up and then I'm intuitively guided. Now, I will say this, I don't do a lot of distance Reiki sessions,
Okay.
but the ones that I have done that I was told by the my clients that they felt the energy. So this is how I conduct it. They have to, I give them a certain time. For example, I had a client, she's from Germany. She was becoming a Reiki practitioner herself.
Right.
And the time zone was different. I
Right.
asked to have a picture sent to me, picture of themselves. So I tap into that picture, their energy that I look at, that they send, have a 10-minute
Right.
consultation with them, and then they have to be down. I can do it as they're sleeping, you know, let me know what time, you know, if you're going to sleep, if you would like it done, or if you know, that person has to be laying down. They have to be still.
Right.
So that's how I conduct my practice, and I work from there. And to be honest, that client that I had of mine that was from Germany, she different time zones. She was sleeping during that session, and the following day,
Okay.
because I followed up with her, she was an artist as well too, and she said she was stuck on this painting for so long that she was able to tap into her sacral chakra, which is the creativity
Right.
um that came through, and paint was able to finally paint that picture, and she sent it to me. That touched me.
Okay.
So just me starting off, like a lot of people be like, well, how many years have you been a practitioner? You know, I'll tell them, and it's like, it doesn't matter how many years I've been as a practitioner. This is within. Um,
Right.
you know, uh, I
No.
study the, I study the information, but it's within. You know, people can go. oh, I studied this, and that doesn't make you a practitioner because you study and read something.
Correct.
So that's how I feel. But yeah, I don't do too many distance sessions, but to get that feedback from her, that really touched me in a
Sure.
sense that, wow. Okay. And to be honest, she was my first distance Reiki session where I'm like, okay, for me, it was like, it was new to me too. Like, well, shit, is it going to work? Or, I don't know. I had second guess and thought myself too, like, because I'm not laying my hands on that individual or they're being present. But it just, I mean, she was gravitated, she guided to me. And when she shared that information with me, I was astounded myself.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm kind of, me, I jump around, so bear with me. So
Okay.
I want to shift a little bit. So some of you personally, as far as spiritual systems, practices, deities, whether it's gods, goddesses, demons, do you have any, patriarchal or matriarchal spirits you work with? If you could share with us what's some of your inspirations and some of your personal spiritual practices that you feel, has really helped you as beneficial, or what spiritual systems do you use or gravitate towards?
Thank you. This is my first live. I am so secretive. I do not open up to people whatsoever.
What's the astrological?
But well, no, Beniti, what I'm just sharing that to share with others that, I feel very comfortable with you. You
Okay.
know. So what I am going to share is, with me, I was led to on my led to this path that I'm on. I was led by Divine Mother Jama Kali.
Okay.
I It's just crazy, just how everything happened. I was just tapped to her mantras. Not only that, I dug a little bit deep in, and I met people that cultivated her energy as well.
Okay.
I definitely work with Divine Mother Jay Mahakali. I
Okay.
do. As well as the celestials as well too. I do.
Okay.
Um I I've never shared this with anybody. And that's what made me, well, I've been listening to you, but when you talked about Seth, I swear I didn't know anything. I didn't know nothing about Seth, or I swear I was sleeping, and one night I heard the name Seth, and that present energy, he came. I felt it. I felt the masculinity and everything of that being. And I said,
Okay.
huh, this? Like, I'm like, Seth, this no lie. I looked it up. I looked up Seth, like, oh wow. Like, so I'm like, well, let me do some more research on Seth, because I didn't know anything about Seth. And then when I
Right.
listened to your teachings about Seth, I'm like, wow, like it it was just it's just phenomenal. Just being on a path and just being tapped in, and just knowing, like, just itself, like, there's nothing that when I first started and seeing certain things,
Right.
I was a little bit thrown off, and a little bit, I wouldn't say that I was scared, but it threw me off. It's
Right.
something that I've never experienced. So
Yep.
I will say that when I tapped into that presence of Seth, like, it was literally like he came like full force, like,
Okay.
who is this? And I just didn't know. So, anyways, I deal with the lineage of folklore, tribalism, of Shakti energy. I deal
Okay.
with here. The elements of nature. I deal with the tetragrammaton. I do deal with.
Okay.
So I work with the elements of nature. I have been also blessed to have when I bless with, and I after my session and even before, I have wings, certain type of wings of birds. I've been blessed with so many different animals on my path, literally. And my main animal, my spirit totem, the raven and the crow. I've been blessed with that on my path, literally. It's just
Right.
there. I was asked before, oh, did you kill the bird? No, I don't kill animals. Nothing, it's been given. I don't do no killing animals. I don't slaughter nothing. I mean, I do that. So
Okay.
I deal and tap in within nature, from the animal kingdom, the plant kingdom, as
Okay.
well as the insect kingdom. So those omens come to me, and me working with those dynamics, especially Divine Mother, I definitely give her energy grace. So
Okay. Cool.
yeah.
All right. So I know you mentioned earlier uh, something in reference to your ancestral lineage. So let's talk a little bit about. I refer to it as ancestral veneration because the reason why, just so we're clear, I know people. I'm not saying you do, but I know a lot of people use the term ancestral worship. I don't. I don't subscribe to that term because you are your ancestors. There, your same blood runs through their veins that runs through yours. So you can't worship something that you are. But that's just my perspective on it. I know you mentioned a little bit about, have you done like a DNA to get that information you mentioned earlier, and how important is ancestral acknowledgement on your path? And do you work with altars or anything like that? Do you have ancestral venerated altars, things of that nature? So essentially what I'm asking in a nutshell, what part does ancestral veneration work with in what you do and your personal spiritual path? That's the question I'm asking.
Thank you. You know what? I learned that from you too, hearing that. And, I never, like you said, worship my ancestors. I know it's within. I have had a DNA test result given to me, and that even my research. I'm all about researching, about investigating, all that.
Right.
I don't go for what somebody says, or like, oh, I'm gonna roll with. I'll do my research. Um, One thing about my clients too, I don't fake the funk.
Right.
I keep it real. I keep it very authentic.
Which is
I know
important.
how to deal, taps into the personalities of clients. There's different personalities. I
Right.
feel that it takes very gifted to be able to do that. And you know, since my grandmother passed, I do have an altar set up for her. I do have an altar for Divine Mother, Jama Kali. Um,
Hmm.
and I have an altar for myself too, which I'm on that. I
Okay.
also I have a daughter. So
Hmm.
um, I'm very, I'm blessed to give her this information that I know to lead her,
Right.
and to guide her. And it's just a blessing because it's something that I didn't have. So
Right.
for me to be able to give her this, and to have her standing at a young age, you know, there's things that I share with her, certain things that I don't, I mean, till that time comes with that age, to
Sure.
understand. But yes, I definitely have Divine Mother altars set up. And
Hmm.
I it's gratitude. Everything, it's a learning, it's a journey. Like I said, I'm still learning. I'm still
Sure.
learning about healing modalities and certain aspects of the occult. So
Hmm.
for me, I just, I'm taking it day by day and even working on myself. I'm not perfect,
Of
but
course.
I take it day by day, but I know who I am for one.
Right.
So
And that's the key. 100%. That's the key. Um, excuse me. Just again, for people that may have come in and popped out, I just like to do this in the middle and then again towards the end. Again, uh, let people know where they can contact you. Again, please give your social media pages, contact info, your website. Can you just do that again for me, please?
okay. You can contact me, everyone. Namaskar. I bow to the God and goddesses within you. Divine Healing 911.com. Divine Healing 911.com, as well as you can contact me on Instagram at Pro Priestess 911.
Okay. And again, just for those that might have the opportunity to possibly, if it's a right fit for you, to do work in person, what geographical area is it for those maybe that might be interested in connecting with you for a session in person? If you don't mind sharing that, what is your geographical area?
My geographical area is California, Northern
Okay.
California, Southern California. Um, I wouldn't mind. That's I've been manifesting traveling as well. I can have clients where I can travel and have a clientele base in
Okay.
different areas. I'm very open, but I have clients that I get all over that actually contacts me. I actually had a client one day contact me who came in town, and she came onto my website. She was led by her spirit, and I can say that just the energy that I work with, the transformation. I could say this on my journey. I've always gone through transformation.
Hmm.
I've experienced that transformation, and um, just the chaos and destruction that comes with Divine Mother. Like,
Oh yeah.
I'm just, so I am open to travel if I can build clientele in different states. But I am located in California. I have traveled to Northern California, um, based in Los Angeles, working in Southern California. I am born and
Okay.
raised West LA. So,
Oh, all right.
yes.
So you're native. All right, cool. Well, let me just put this out there because I know I've done this in the past, and I would assume it's the same when you travel for clients, just so people know, because you know how nowadays, I would assume when you, because I know if I'm brought in to do something in the past or travel to do work for a client or do a class, I'm sure that includes them covering your travel fare and your lodging in addition to what you charge. You got to put this out there. I'm just going to be honest, because
Oh,
yeah,
thank
I mean, yeah, no, but that's just common sense. So I would assume they would have to cover your travel, they would have to cover your lodging, and then whatever you charge to do your service. I just want to be clear on that because some people play slick, but I just want to make sure you verify that.
thank you, because people do take advantage. People try to take advantage. So I appreciate that, Banini. Yes, you would definitely have to cover my expenses of traveling as well as um, me, my room and board, like he mentioned.
Sure.
Absolutely. I would have to have at least 10 clients within a state to say that I can open myself and travel to.
That makes sense. Makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I just wanted
I'm
to be clear on it.
yeah.
Cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. All right. So what I want to tell people in the chat or if you want to come in live, and I know there's a couple of, I know I see Danny in here. I don't know if she's still here. I know she practices Reiki or Reiki. What's the correct pronunciation? I'm terrible with words. Is it Reiki or Reiki?
You know what? I used to say Reiki too. I'd be like, Reiki. It's Reiki. It's Reiki.
Okay, let me get that correct.
So hold on, Baniti. Like, so I don't know. Statistically, they mentioned, I know it's 72,000 nadis and what's 114,000 chakras. And then I learned from another practitioner something else. So I don't want to put the numbers out there like that, but I know that our body classes that you mentioned about speaking about the chakras to learn a little bit more. Like I said, I'm just open, but I'm definitely really cultivating to the Eastern aspect of the occult.
Okay, so that's a heavy end. Well, I would think yes, being into that, that makes sense. All right. So what I'm going to do is we're going to keep talking, but I'm going to go ahead and put the link into the chat. All right. So if anybody is in the chat would like to come in and ask Crow Priestess, or by the way, you're going to laugh. This is kind of funny. So a couple of lives ago when I was promoting the show, and I didn't even realize I did it. So just in case you see it, it was an accident. I referred to you as Cow Priestess. I went back and caught it. I said, did I actually say that? So that was like a week or so ago. One of not alive. It was one of the recorded videos I uploaded. I said, no, I did not do that. I'm telling you, man. Sometimes you just do some. So that was a complete accident. But I'm gonna go ahead and put again the link.
No,
but then I thought about Hathor, so maybe that was in reference to Hathor. So, but anyway.
You said it for a reason. The cow is very significant. I'm heavy on practicing the Eastern culture, like I said, in Hinduism, and the cow is very sacred.
Yes.
Absolutely. So for you to say that, like, yeah.
It was weird. And I didn't even, the crazy thing about it is I knew the name. I didn't even realize it. And most of the videos I upload, I really don't even watch them. I might just scan through them just to check the quality. And it was weird because I had just stopped on that particular point of the video. It was fucking weird. But anyway. All right. So we're going to keep talking. But for those, so there's two ways. If you have a question for Crow Priestess, if you want to put it in the chat, I'm going to go up to the chat from the beginning and work my way down. So I have your questions. We're going to stay on based on your questions. All right. I'm not going to just hang around. We'll keep talking until we're finished. But if you want to come in live, again, I just always got to put out there social media etiquette. Please do not come in with a ton of background noise. I don't want to know what you're cooking for dinner. I don't want you to hear you yelling at your kids. I got to put that out there. And if you're not talking and you got background noise, please mute yourself. I don't need to see you walking around in your bathrobe and all that good stuff. Just putting that out there. So I'm going to go ahead and paste the link. That's right there in the chat. So if you want to come in, just click that link. I'll see you in the queue. If you would like, I know like Danny, I don't know if she's still here. I know there was one or two other Reiki practitioners, and they appreciate you coming on the show, and they're good for them to see other practitioners. All right, so that link is in there. I'll look for questions shortly. But a couple more things personally that I kind of want to run through just to get an understanding. Now, talk to me, and I know I mentioned it. I just want to make sure I heard you right. Have you done like a DNA ancestry thing? I can't remember if you brought that up when I brought that up, because I know you mentioned specific tribal identification. So have you done anything like that?
It was buffering, Baniti. You said that I do a DNA testing.
Yeah. When I was. Can you hear me now? Is it clear now? Yeah. I think we have been having a little buffering issues. I don't know if it's on my end. Yes, like I know you mentioned in the beginning of the show specific tribal things that you connected to. Was that through like a DNA research? Or how did that come about?
Yes, it was through a DNA research. I did do DNA testing. I wanted to get a DNA testing. I was introduced, I never knew, like I said, never was educated about, well, I was educated about my DNA. I have ancestors from Mississippi. I know I have Choctaw in me, I have Foot in me. I deal with that as well. I have South America, Guyanese. Um, my roots from Mississippi. Um, and then I found out about, and I never knew, but I was introduced to your, and when I was listening, excuse me, when I was introduced to the Yoruba tribes and, the Jin, the Orishas,
Hmm.
I was educated by them, and I picked up and learned about that. But when I knew about myself, the where I tracked my DNA,
Right.
likely match for myself highly is Igbo.
Okay.
So I started studying Igbo history, and I just really cultivated. And I just I felt that within my soul, just how they move, just how they come about. The spirituality of Igbo. Um, so yeah, there's their healers are called VBS. It's many
Okay.
different healing modalities that are VBS. So I I'm definitely cultivating that and still doing my research, and definitely look to travel eventually,
Okay.
and go to Africa, go to Nigeria. Yeah, I'm not all into that. Like you said, when you talk about your stories about people, nobody can tell me. And
Right.
I feel like it needs to go for everybody. Look within and go within, and
Sure.
you're gonna know everything's within. So
Correct.
nobody can tell you about you.
That's
You just
100% correct. And again, the reason why, I like to bring different people on here, just so people could see, like I've said a million times before, everybody is on their own unique journey. The reality is we're all trying to get to that same destination, but not everybody takes the same path, and that's part of knowing yourself, right? So
yeah.
I don't gauge, the occult is a wide thing. Yes, there's darker aspects of it. Yes, there's deeper when you get into like dark sorcery or left hand path, but there's not everybody. That's not everybody's path sometimes, and everybody has their own unique journey, and that's the beautiful thing about this. But that's why I said in the beginning, I think everybody has a gift to offer, and like when I look at what you do, your approach, I think this is another viewpoint, another avenue, because I know listening to you talk, and I'm sure many other people in the chat, you're bringing, I'm seeing it through different eyes. There's a different lens and a different approach. And what I feel all of us have to do on the cult, we learn to extract what we can utilize and how that works for us. So it's interesting. And you're not the traditional, and that's one thing that stood out to me, obviously. You're not that traditional, I got to get used to the word Reiki, practitioner, right? You have your own unique blend of doing it, and you're not influenced or dictated by who says, oh, you need to, and that's one thing I'm against that. Oh, you got to do it like this, or you have to do it like I'm the wrong person for that. I don't fuck with none of that, you know. Yeah, and it's good because to me that's what makes different people, stand out. But one thing I could definitely say 100%, and we'll have to talk about that another time. There's definitely Native American, indigenous in the ancestry. When you said the Mississippi, you have all those tribes over there, the Mississippians, the Choctaws, the Creeks, the Yamasee. That's all like that all emanates from you when you talk. So that's definitely, I know, is in the bloodline. I don't know when it comes to your mother and your father's side, like what came up. But yeah, that definitely 150% is
Now,
there. No,
look,
go ahead.
Benny, not to cut you off. I actually learned. So I got my mother. cultivating and tapping in. And my mother didn't know who her father was. She knew of her father, but she didn't know who her father was in her bloodline. So I actually have a lot of European in me as well, and that comes from my
Mhm.
mother's side. Um,
Okay.
when it comes to French and Germany. So I like to deal with those ancestors on a lighter, side of things. But
Sure.
my mother has a lot of European in her. Um,
Okay.
you know, my mother is lighter than my mother's light skin. I'm dark
Okay.
skinned. My father's dark skinned. But I know I take a lot from my father's side. I know that.
Hmm.
I feel that. And my grandfather passed away. On my dad's side, my grandfather passed away when I was young. And my mother would always take me to him, and I remember him, and he'll come to me. It just feels good when you can really tap into your ancestors and just really know. It feels good.
Right. No, but definitely, we got a guest. I'm gonna have her ask a question shortly. But definitely, you have, and it's definitely the father's side, the tribal medicine man, shaman, witch doctor, spirit around you. That's 100% felt for sure. But Danielle, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. How you been?
I'm doing really good.
Good, good, good. Well, I'm glad you joined the queue, so we can all hear you. You are live. Crow Priestess can hear you, so I'm gonna go ahead and let you go ahead and talk about or ask your question.
Okay, Crow Priestess, welcome to the group. My name is Danny. I've been with Brother Baniti for a few years, so he's glad to see another Reiki practitioner joining our group.
Thank you. Thank you, Danielle.
Um, so, for the critics out there, I just gonna be out the gate. You always see people try to stay comments about, oh, you're Reiki, you really left hand path. What do you think you know about being on here? How do you feel the principles in practicing Reiki and learning Reiki contributes to your practice on left hand path?
I'm sorry, Danielle. It kind of buffered a little bit. I heard contribute to left hand path.
Your Reiki practice, the learning and practicing of Reiki, how do you feel that helps you with your practice and left hand path practice? For those who don't understand, I think you and me understand it, but I think other people need to hear it.
Okay, let me, because it was buffering again. You were mentioning to me about how I contribute my practice on the left hand path of Reiki.
How it correlates the
Yeah, how it
princ- the
correlates.
the the principles and the way that we practice, the way that we utilize the energy. Can it or is it useful in doing left hand path work? Because I think that's a question in a lot of people's minds.
Okay. I feel like in general, whatever path that you're on, for me per se, yes, I do follow Eastern culture, left hand path of the Agora, Jama Kali.
Hmm.
And you know, how can I put this? I cultivate the knowledge that I have within and what I learned. When it comes to Reiki, to me, it's energy. So when you're amplifying energy and you're being a vessel as myself, because I am a vessel to have that energy transmuted in what I work through and flow through. So um I mean, it's just cultivating in that way. When it comes to the left hand path, um, to me, you have to be very, how can I put it? You have to be very, I guess, imprecise in things and what you do and what you say and how you cultivate that energy. I work with the violet flame. So to me, whatever path anybody's on, I can work with anybody as long as I'm able to cultivate that energy and give that
Right.
back, and I can reciprocate that as well as a person can reciprocate back to me.
Right. And Danny, that's a really good question. And one thing I
Oh,
want to just put out there, and I'll let you continue. The Agora, for those that may not know, there's 3 volumes of that. There's 3 books. It is Eastern
sorry, it's
Left
so
Hand.
much.
Can you hear me?
Were you able to hear me, Danielle?
Yeah, I hear you, Mama.
Yeah.
Okay. I just
I just
waited. Okay, Baniti didn't come in yet. It's
Can you
kind of
hear me now?
buffering on my end.
Yeah, I think it is. But
Yeah.
can you hear me
Do you
now?
study Reiki?
I actually, I'm a master Reiki practitioner and also can teach. I've been exploring a lot more on the left-hand path, doing other types of energy work.
Okay.
But Reiki is definitely in the forefront and in my daily practice, and something that, the principles of all of the things that are taught are things that I use on a daily basis to keep me grounded, to keep me focused, and to keep me, centered,
Right.
throughout the course of everything that I do. And I just, like, I'm very happy to see you. I'm like super excited.
Me too.
Super excited.
Me
Because there's a lot of preconceived notions. And I think that I believe, on the thread, I expressed that there's a certain level of learning, especially from the women within the community, that it's important that we listen. And it's not that you have to take everything from another person's experience, but there are certain things that perhaps you should be open to exploring. And I think that we're in a stage of exploration and taking things from certain things and incorporating it into our practices. And sometimes that's a little bit hard for people to understand.
Yeah.
Can you hear me? I'm dead.
Yeah, no, you're good. She was freezing up. King Crow Priestess, did you hear her?
No, I didn't hear her.
Yeah, I think you, yeah, I mean, I think you got some buffering. Are you on a phone, or like what kind of device are you on?
Oh,
Yeah, maybe stay closer to the phone. Is your internet connection good? Because you've been freezing, kind of going in and out.
sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, you're freezing again. Hold on. Okay,
Look,
you're
next
back
time I'll go
now.
on my computer.
Yeah, I think it's because you're on a phone, and
Oh,
it might be the 4 or 5G. Can you hear now?
sorry.
No, it's okay. It happens.
It is
Uh,
the internet.
yeah, let me give you a short summarization. Um, you can hear now, right?
I can.
All right. Danny, if you can repeat yourself, I know, I know. If you can repeat yourself one more time, run through that. But before you do, I just want to
Yes,
put this out there. You can hear me, right? Everybody can hear me?
absolutely.
You can hear me, Crow Priestess?
I can hear you.
Okay. I just want to refer to something when you were mentioning the Agora. For those that don't know or are interested, there's a 3-volume book set called the Agora. And just so you understand the perspective of where Crow Priestess is coming from, that's her perspective of left-hand path. That's kind of not saying that it's limited to just that, but that's the heavy influence over what she does. And the Agora is Eastern mysticism, left-hand path practice. We study it in my temple that I'm a high priest. It's actually one of the requirements to study. So I just want to put that out there for those that may not know what that is, because you mentioned it. And again, it's a 3 volumes. There's 3 books on it. Agora's part 1, 2, and 3. For those that want to get a better understanding of a lot of the techniques we're talking about. But again, Danny, go ahead and run again what you said. I just wanted to make sure I got that in there. That's all.
Well, in short, I was explaining that I was very excited to see that Baniti is featuring other people, women in our community who are sharing what types of healing modalities they're practicing, what they're practicing, what they're going through. It's something that I think is important, because I think sometimes we lose sight on this path, or just like doing our day-to-day thing, where we will a broken clock is right twice a day. You don't have to take everything, like for instance, to say, okay, she's a Reiki healer, I'm gonna go ahead and dive real deep into Reiki and become a Reiki practitioner. That's not what we're doing here. What we're doing here is learning about different techniques that would serve us in our practice, and different principles. And it's like taking certain things to bake a cake. You're going to go ahead and look at all the different things that people are practicing and say, okay, this looks interesting to me. I'm going to look at it without being, what's a nice way of saying it, Baniti?
Judgmental. I don't know.
Judgmental, because it's after 9 o'clock, so I get a little rock and roll after 9 o'clock. But so but it's beautiful. Like, I think, like, we should all, like, it's great, we're all can be able to share our experiences and what we do and what we learn, and say, okay, maybe that's something that I can incorporate into my practice. Maybe that's something that I want to look into, instead of being quote unquote judgmental, which is great, because I think people, they have a lot of preconceived notions. Because, to be quite honest, you know, with my own personal experience, and I can only speak from personal experience, I've gone to churches where I've had a pastor shake the whole fucking church upside down. It's all about a person's energy and how they take things and how to utilize them.
Right. 100%. Did you get all that, Crow Priestess?
I don't think she did.
She's there. She was shaking.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it's her
thank
internet connection is. Yeah. Can you hear?
I heard.
Yeah. Now I
Thank
think
you,
your sound.
Danielle.
Yeah, she heard. She
All
heard.
right.
We're trying to work through it. We're trying to work through it. But I definitely appreciate that feedback, and I'm glad you came in, because I definitely know you are a Reiki practitioner. So I'm glad you also came in and validated some of the stuff that she's talking about, and shared your experience. And I know you've been at it for quite a few years yourself.
Thank you, Baniti. Love you.
All right, appreciate you. Thank you.
Bye.
All right, we'll talk. Yep. All right, I put the link in there. If anybody else wants to come in, click the link. We'll stay on for a few more minutes. Let me go up through the chat to see if I see any questions and comments. I'm going to start from the top. So again, I'm going to give you guys, we've been on for about an hour and a half. So we're going to finish up. So if you have any questions or comments or something you want to share, now is the time. There's two ways you can do that. I did post the link in the chat. If you want to come in live like Danny just did, feel free to come in. Practice social media etiquette. I don't want to see you in your robe cooking and none of that shit. I don't want to hear you talking to your kids and yelling at them. Or if you don't want to come in because you got warrants and you don't want to be seen and you don't want to show your face, just type your question in the chat or your comment. All right, so let me scroll down. See, I'm just going to look for questions or relevant comments just for the sake of time. All right, what else we got? Again, infernal blessings to everybody that's here. If I didn't greet you in the beginning, I want to thank you guys for coming by tonight, tuning in. I like to change it up once in a while, so I've enjoyed this. And again, I want to put out there the Agora, Agora. If you're not familiar with it, it's 3 volumes. It's Eastern Left-Hand Path Mysticism. A lot of the stuff Crow Priest has been talking about tonight. It goes deeper. Trust me, there's a lot. There's layers to it. It's a lot. And she's just being very on the surface about it. I mean, there's a lot more.
And look, Baniti, also too, it's a book. She's kind of seeing, I'm not a reader. I'm really not a reader, so it takes me a while to go through books and learn. But this is also another book that's very, if you're interested in the energy of Jaymon Kali, Offering Flowers and Feeding Skulls.
I got it. I don't have that.
Well.
Yeah, I'm gonna check that out. I don't have that.
Okay.
That book I don't have, so I appreciate you sharing that.
Yes.
All right, so let's see what we'll finish up with here, because I got Christmas going on around here, man. I got Christmas shit I can be doing on top. I'm just having. Here you go. All right, so let's look for questions, comments. All right, that was to me. I appreciate that, Leo. That was early. If you're still here, I appreciate your appreciation for what we do. Thank you. What else we got here? Let me scroll down. What else we got? Okay, what else we got? Okay, so yes, there was some comments here earlier about. I know Kiona had typed something in, and then there was some other discussion. So, what is technically? I know it varies. What is there a certain format that qualifies one as far as time frame or to become a master? Is there a certain educational process? Do you got to go to a certain school? So, long story short, what is the validation process and the time lane? And if you could share, like, that it takes somebody to be given that title of Reiki master, what does one have to go through as far as study and practice to get that title, or be, I guess, if the right word is, validated as a Reiki master is the question.
Yeah, I believe it's the teacher that you go through who teaches that knowledge. I was taught by a Canadian teacher, Lee Powers, and like I said, it's all within. So there's different steps in when it comes to the teaching. There's different courses. So very higher up when you become a master. There are Japanese symbols that I do work with as well too, that I put into my practice. So it's all based on the teachings. You can go from Reiki level 1 to 2 to 3, and then it's the master. So you'll go further up, or you'll learn that lineage of that Japanese healing modality. To me, Reiki, chakras in general, and that's where I became learning of more about of the Eastern culture path, because it's an older, I mean, even like you said, the genre, the Reiki practice, being a Reiki practitioner, just the healing modality is very old. So yeah, just it's based on your teacher and what you learn. So there's different symbols that you use and that you learn. Like I said, I cultivate and I use all different. I'll use the Japanese symbols, and then I cultivate my practice with my as well. So yeah.
So, like, rough timeline. I know there's different. It sounds just like when you go through initiations per se in certain houses of African traditional religions. Like, roughly, what is the time frame to accomplish that title? 1, 2, 3, 4 years? Like, how does it work? Or I know you say it's dependent on the teacher, but just a rough time frame.
Yeah, it's a teacher that teaches it, but it's you give that time. You have to give that dedication. You have to be disciplined.
I got
you. Not just you reading some, it comes with discipline.
I got
that's
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I see also Melissa. I'm not sure if she's still in here. She's also a Reiki master, and she had typed in it could take about a year and a half. She says she was attuned to level 1 about 6 months, level 2 and about 6 months. After that, attuned to M level 3, which is master level. And that's why I'm asking that, because I'm saying there's different perspectives on that. I'm not going to front like I know, because I don't. I will say, and I've shared this before, because we had another sister on a little while back, and she also was a Reiki practitioner. And I remember it was a Native American sister, and I always bring this up, and I don't know what she did, but she was good at what she did, and she did a Reiki massage and worked on all the energy centers. And all I know is within about 10, 15 minutes in, that was my experience. And she had one of them tables where you lay face down and you put your head in. All I know is that I traveled. I went. That's the best way I can describe it, and came back. I had I had my own esoterical journey in that experience, and something that lasted, I'm going to say it was about 45 minutes maybe from finding out afterwards, but I felt like I was gone for eons. And it's just something I haven't been able to capture again. So I know everybody's skills are different. So, that's why I'm asking that question, because there's a lot, of feedback in regards to that. And it's confirming what you're saying. So I guess it depends on you. And as you say, your teacher, and the same thing on this path. When you become a master on this path, it's at your pace, at your growth level, and how you absorb. Because I work with people in my mentorship program. There's some people that get to their self-initiation at a year's time or a little bit past, and it varies, so yeah,
Absolutely. That's just
yeah,
like, I mean, I started my practice in 2019. So it took me to have the discipline to put the I put the taking speed into things. To me, I can't, once again, it goes back to saying people like, in corporate, or how long have you been working this position? I mean, it doesn't matter. To me, if it's within you and it's a gift and it's given, like, it's already there. So to me, like, how many years you done something, that's irrelevant. It is. I
right.
mean, when you come across somebody that has that, like you said,
Mhm.
that shaman, that native. I mean, no matter how many years she's been doing it, it can be in 3 years. It's within her. It's in her lineage. It's there.
Listen, she had power, and she was a native. She was Native American,
Right.
and look, all I know is whatever she was tapped into. And I know this practice, when you're working with somebody that is tapped into the energy, I was just amazed at how quick that shit happened. And I went on a journey, and I experienced and saw things in that, because I know in some of those, in this particular session, I know there's different techniques. It was dealing with past life,
Yeah.
um, past life incarnations, and I mean, it was deep. It was, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And then I did one. The last time I did one was probably, I'm gonna roughly say, 2009, and it was more so at like a place that it was like a new age healing center. I just wanted to try it. The massage was good, but
Hmm.
outside of that, I didn't really get much out of it. And I think part of it was I just didn't connect with the lady's energy that was doing it.
Right.
Not that she was bad, but I'm a big component. I do believe, and I'm assuming that's why you're selective with who you work with. I do believe there has to be an energy connection there, because it's just the energy. It's not that I didn't get a vibe from her like she was a bad person or this or that or the other. I just didn't feel that spiritual connection, and it just kind of became a massage rather than something spiritual. And I was looking for both. I wanted the spiritual experience too, and I just didn't really get it. So I definitely can relate to when you say the energy connection. And I'm the same way when I do readings. I don't deal with all clients. There are some, if my spirits tell me this is not the right fit, I just don't do it. I just
Hmm.
don't go against it. So I'm real big on when you said that 100%. I do believe the energy has to align. You can't it just doesn't work like that, you
Yeah.
know. All right, couple more. Mika says good live. P says respect. Been following you for a while. Have gained a lot of knowledge. I appreciate that.
Hey.
Kadane, I think Kadane is she's out there, overseas. Good to see you here. I know she's about 5-6 hours ahead of us, so I don't know if she's still awake. Uh, he's out in the LA area. He said he will definitely have to connect with you. I know Kiona is. She's also out, mentioned that she's out in the LA area. Daryl said he will reach out and try to connect with you if that happens. So that's cool. You got some fellow California. I know Daryl's in LA. I work with Daryl. He's a Santa Muerte practitioner. I believe he's in that same area. I know Kiona is too. I know, so there's a few. We got some California natives up in here. That's cool. See,
Right.
that's the good thing about this type of stuff. You don't know who's what, where, and when, and that's why I asked your geographical location.
Thank you.
Um, so this way, there might be some possible connections there.
Thank you.
What else we got? I'm just trying to see. Uh, Shemsu, you can't find the book on Amazon, the Agora? I mean, I've had it for a while. Is it available on Amazon?
It should be.
I
Hold
thought
on.
it is. I could have sworn I got mine on there, but I don't know. Oh
I
wait,
through a
it's
teacher.
3 volumes. Yeah, I have the 3 volumes.
Yeah.
If you
Look,
have them, can you throw them up? Throw them
I
up.
am.
Show people.
This is the first one, I believe, right?
Correct. It should
Okay.
be labeled on there, volume 1, on the side or the front. I believe that's the first one, though, you have right there.
First one. I don't see where it says volume 1, but Robert E. Sabota.
Yeah.
Sabota.
Yep.
Uh,
Maybe put that up on the screen. Search by author, Shamsu. Maybe you got to search by the author. Yeah, that's volume 1. Oh, that's what it is. You typed it. You missing the H. You got Agora. That's probably what it is, Shamsu. Put in Aghora. That's probably why. I think you just probably misspelled it. And if you see the top, see where it says, put it a little bit closer. You'll see it says at the left hand of God. It's Eastern left hand path practice. Matter of fact, you know who was big on that? If you remember, I've had, and I keep saying I got to reach out to him and get him back. Dr. Edward Bruce Bynum is also initiated and a master in that. And that was one of his biggest influences too. When you read his book, Dark Light Consciousness, Tantra, Vama Marga, and all those left-hand practices from that particular system. We even talk a little bit and deal with that. We haven't gotten into it yet heavy, but in the Eastern Left-Hand Path Cult class, we will be talking about that. All right. So let me see what else we got in there. But try that, Shamsu. It should come up. I think you just had the spelling wrong. All right, what else we got? So Kenneth had a question. Earlier there's 2 questions from Kenneth for you. So the first one is, when you mentioned Set earlier, do you do any invoking of Set's energy for healing? Any of that in your practice? That was his first question.
You know what? I haven't.
Okay.
I think that his energy is within me already. I don't
Okay.
invoke him, but I feel he came to me personally.
Mhm.
Like, just my transformation and everything that I've gone through, I feel he came to me personally. And his presence is strong.
Okay. So you
Really
have that interconnection more so with Set. Okay.
Absolutely. I feel I need to do more work and come, but when he came, like I said, I didn't even know, I didn't know anything about Seth. And when
That's
he
Set.
came, I felt his presence.
Well, one thing I used to say a few years back, you don't choose Set, Set chooses you. That's something I used to say years ago. And
Yeah,
that's fact. Not everybody makes that connection, because there's a reason why I say that. And as you further your relationship or whatever connection, whether it's you, me, or anybody watching, you start to understand that on a deeper level when you connect with Set. All right, Kenneth's second question for you is, which energies do you find the most healing, or does it depend what the client needs?
what energies do I find most healing?
Like if you're working with a client, is there particular ones, or do you base it on what the client needs? I believe that's the question.
Well, the energies that I work with is within it's within me. With a client, I'm just guided to where I need to place my hands on. I work through all the chakras, but some of my hand placements is longer. I place my hands there longer than what needs to be on other chakras. So
Gotcha.
it makes sense. The energies within that I tap in is going to always be there, but intuitively I'm guided with specifically with that individual what I need to work on. I will say this: I had a client, she didn't share with me, and I was intuitively led her lower abdomen of her sacral chakra. My hands were placed there for a very long time. Like I said, I just don't know. Intuitively, I did, and I told her that she was suffering. Well, I wouldn't say suffering, but she had fibroids. And when she
Oh,
shared
wow.
that with me, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know what was going on with, but my hands intuitively, I was led to just stay there in that specific spot when I was working through her chakras, but I stayed there more deeply in that area. So yeah.
Right. Okay. Makes sense. Then Kiona put in, yeah, she verified what I was saying about the spelling of the book. Yeah, I believe that was the error. It's Aghora. And I believe it's available on Amazon. It's a very available book. I mean, I've had it for a little bit, so I haven't checked, but
Yeah.
it should be there. Kadane says she's still here. It's 2 a.m. there, and she's in, I believe it's London.
Oh
Uh,
wow.
yeah, she's
I'm
London or the
excited.
Netherlands. I don't know why I confused the two. I know they're completely different, but yeah, it's
Welcome
2
back.
a.m. there. Yeah, she's tuned in. It's 2 a.m. there. All right. Okay. Shemsu, thanks for the correct spelling. Yes, and Kadane verified it, the spelling and the author, Robert Sabota. What else we got? Oh, this is a good question. I was going to ask you this, Eric, and I'm glad you bring this up. Eric Jones bring this up because I've seen this, and I definitely am interested in your perspective on this. Eric says, what's your thoughts on Reiki charged videos on YouTube, and do you think they are as effective as in person? I've seen that. What's your thoughts on that?
Reiki charts? What is Reiki charts?
No, he's saying they create videos on YouTube that are supposed to be Reiki charged. You understand what I'm saying? Like not charged financially, like charged with energy. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
and directing the energy out?
Yes, but well, there's two ways I've seen it. Like there are people who will do a video and they'll send it to you, and supposedly in that session you're being charged. And then I've seen people do videos where they're claiming if you watch the video, there's some healing energy you can get from watching the video. So I know maybe that's similar to doing it from a distance. I guess the question is, he's basically asking, what's your thoughts on that? Do you think it's effective, or do you think it's not a good idea?
Um, I feel if you gravitate to that person and their auric field, then yes, it's effective.
Okay,
One thing I tell my clients is don't come with any validation, come with an open mind when you receive Reiki,
sure.
So I just feel, based on that person, their auric field, and just if you gravitate to that person, yeah, it is effective.
Okay, all right, yeah, that's good information. I meant to ask about that.
Yeah.
Shemsu confirms he has found the books, so it looks like yes, it was a misspelling.
I will
Yeah,
say this too, use your discernment.
sure.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I talk about I mean, to me, a lot of this work, regardless of what avenue you're coming from, it's about unlocking the true and higher self. And part of that, what we're calling our intuition. I know that's real prominent with females. They always talk about a women's intuition. And to
Hmm.
me, that inner voice, that inner being, your intuition, that's exactly the same thing of what I refer to on this path as your personal daemon or your true and higher self. That should be your guide in pretty much everything you do, right? And that's the purpose of doing shadow work, to remove the veil and the illusionary aspects of yourself that's weighing you down, or like they say in Hermetic alchemy, you must make yourself less dense, because that's the only way you're going to uncover the real you. And
Yep.
that's why I like what you're talking about in your path. You're not structured to any mainstream or traditional way. Because what I'm hearing is you let your spirit guide you. You do it how you see fit and how it works for you. And that's the key. Anything you do, you should do it like that, in my opinion. So, but yeah. All right. I think we're at the bottom of the questions. I don't see anybody else in the queue room. All right. I don't know if you have any final thoughts or anything else you want to add, or if there's anything else you want to talk about. I think I got to the gist of what I wanted to discuss with you. I mean, definitely get you back on here. Definitely
Thank
set something up. And after I do like the initial, we do got one more question in here. I'm gonna throw that at you. But after I do like a first show with somebody like this, next time maybe if you want to, pick a particular topic, and we can kind of stay on a particular avenue of study. Now that,
Oh,
you know, I like to people to be introduced to a guest for the first time. So now that we have a better general overall understanding of who you are and what you do, maybe next time we can focus. All right, so here's one more quick question. How many sessions, and I know I kind of got an idea of how you're going to answer this. How many sessions would it take taking a person to heal someone from an illness, in your opinion? And I guess that would vary on the illness and the person. What's your thoughts on that?
Um, Reiki is applied when that first session you get it. First session
Okay.
that you get it. It's up to you on how many sessions you feel that you need. But I do
Okay.
recommend, I have, well, online, I have a membership package where I would do 4 sessions. So that I do feel like it's applied, but it's up to you. I
I
don't,
got
you have to be led. Like I had one client, I'm gonna share this leaving out. Um, she didn't feel comfortable in her identity. She shared that, she opened that. That was really deep with me to know that somebody can be open like that and leave a view and a comment for other people to see. Even her sexuality she didn't feel open to, but after the session she felt very she felt tapped in with herself, knowing herself
right,
more, valuing herself even more. She was
right,
actually a psychology major. So, it's all up to you. I do
right.
recommend that, if you put in 4 sessions, but Reiki's applied as soon that first session is applied.
Yeah, makes sense. And I figure it varies on you, person.
Yes.
Um, yeah, so good stuff. All right. So before you go, again, please give out your contact information, your social media platforms, and then whatever final word you want to give, and then I guess we'll wrap it up.
Yes. Priestess 911 on Instagram, Divine Healing 911.com. Distance sessions, I am available of distant, in person as well. Thank you for all those that have attended. Thank you, Baniti, for extending your platform to me. I really appreciate the gratitude, just the authenticity, of just the affection of your viewers reaching out that has been with you longer than I have searched and found you. So one thing that he did mention about how the deity picks you, I also feel that about Divine Mother Jama Kali. She's gonna
Correct.
work with you how she works with you. So every
100%.
path is different when it deals with Divine Mother Jama Kali. Um,
I agree.
that's just who I gravitated to, and I am very just satisfied where I'm at, and I've gone through a lot of transformations, which she deals with transformations and in death and how she is. Um, she becomes old. You can see her as vibrant and young. You can see her gruesome. She does some things. It's just a lot that comes with that in death. And I just, Durga too, dealing with
Yeah,
Durga,
Kali
um,
Durga's, she's no joke.
with Lakshmi too. All of it's all combined, but I just want to thank everybody. Thank you, Baniti.
Oh no, I appreciate it. You're easy guest, easy to talk to. Definitely got a certain level of intelligence, so it's easy. So I definitely appreciate you coming on. We'll definitely get you back on here.
Thank you.
I appreciate all you guys for tuning in. Um, just to remind everybody, I will post that end of the year class probably just sometime in the middle of December, but look for it in the next day or two. That'll wrap up our year. I want to thank all you guys that support the YouTube page, that support the Instagram page, and all the other platforms, and especially the Patreon page. I do appreciate you guys, if I don't tell you guys enough. And again, I thank you, Crow Priestess. We'll talk. I definitely got to get with you on that Native American stuff, but we'll build on that.
Absolutely. And then you know what too? I would like to hook up, and this is I know I'm on camera. I would like to tune in with Raven too.
Yeah, actually, Raven was in and out. I know she's with her little darling grandbaby who keeps her busy right now. Yeah, I'm not sure if she's still here. I will definitely let her know. That would be awesome. Yeah,
Okay.
that definitely would be awesome. Again, thank you, and we'll talk soon. And I want to thank everybody. You guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. Infernal blessings, and we will all talk soon. All right.
All
Yeah.
right. Peace.
Take care. Yup.
Take care.